Elite Facts presents
10 crimes committed for crazy reasons.
10.
A killer headache. It's safe to say that at one time or another we've all wanted to kill someone just for being totally annoying. Obviously we wouldn't do it, but we've all had that thought. Well, one Utah man was convinced that his girlfriend was a pain in the head, a literal pain in the head. He believed that she was causing his crippling headache and that the only way to get rid of it was to shoot her. Neighbors heard the gunshot and called police, who arrived to find the man in a ditch still clutching his 9mm handgun. He openly admitted to committing the murder, and as the court documents state, quote, he stated that his head began to hurt, whereupon he believed that the only way to ease the pain in his head was to shoot her. He believed that by shooting her, she would die and the pain in his head would cease. The woman was hospitalized in critical condition. However, she was very fortunate to survive her injuries.
9.
Anger over bank bailouts. When Port Townsend, Washington resident Michael Fenter was arrested for bank robbery in 2009, police could be forgiven for thinking they might have arrested the wrong guy. Fenter had never been convicted of so much as a misdemeanor in his life. He was a typical family man, a married father of 3 who ran a farm with his wife. He and his family had even been recently profiled in a local paper. Basically, Michael Fenter was the ideal citizen. Well, that is until he was charged with bank robbery. It was believed that he had robbed 4 of them over the course of a few months, but after his arrest, authorities couldn't account for any of the money he'd stolen. Interviews with bank employees during the investigation yielded the fact that he had griped about government bailouts during the robberies, and that he eventually explained that he had done it because he was a so-called patriot. He was quoted in the local newspaper as saying, quote, "What I am for is real justice, real truth, and real accountability within our system of government." And, quote, "The money was used and is probably currently being used to get to the truth." Now, what truth he was talking about was never made clear, but Michael Fenter's truth now involves a 10-year federal prison sentence.
8.
Concert tickets. So it might be annoying when your favorite musician is scheduled to play at a local arena and you're unable to secure tickets for it. Believe us, we know it's not a good feeling when you know that you're going to miss out on a live concert that probably won't be scheduled to play again in your area for a good long while. Well, in March of 2008, one 39-year-old guy by the name of Robert Lyons didn't take it so well, as he savagely attacked, bludgeoned, stabbed, and killed his own mother with a cognac bottle in their condominium. At his trial, prosecutors stated that the two were prone to profane arguments on a fairly regular basis, and it got to the point where Robert just snapped. It was said that Robert had a lot of anger towards his mother, but what was it that finally made him snap? It seems that his mother failed to secure skybox seating tickets to an upcoming concert that Robert wanted to see. That is quite the overreaction. Now, this is a good example of the fact that certain types of music and media have nothing to do with what makes a murderer, because we bet you're thinking that he listened to death metal bands like Slayer or Lamb of God or Cannibal Corpse. Well, no. These tickets were for an Avril Lavigne concert.
7.
Stereos to die for. We all hate that one friend who borrows something from you but doesn't return it for the longest time. Well, this person hated it so much that he was willing to put a contract out on his friend. Craig Corley found out the hard way that he was that particular kind of friend when he borrowed some stereo speakers from his friend Kent Craig. Yes, they both share the name Craig. A friend of Kent's, Cesar Guzman, was also owed $100 by Corley, so they hatched a plan. Call him up and ask him politely to make good on his debts. Well, that would have been the logical thing to do, but that's not the plan they came up with. Instead, they decided to hire a random thug and pay him $50 to beat Corley up. At least that's what Cesar Guzman thought the plan was. Supposedly, unbeknownst to Guzman, Kent gave their thug for hire the green light to kill Corley instead, which he did. Corley was shot 10 times and his computer was stolen. The thug was arrested and the arrests of Guzman and Kent quickly followed. Guzman served 6 years for voluntary manslaughter for his part in the plot and has been released, while Kent got 26 years to life in prison.
6.
The coupon. In March of 2013, police were called out to an incident involving a 61-year-old woman who had tried to use a $1 off coupon at her local Walmart but was told that she couldn't. At first, you might think that the call was harmless and that the woman was just disturbing the peace by complaining and making some kind of ruckus. Nope. Mary Alday was told by a clerk that this particular store didn't accept coupons that were printed online. And after loudly protesting this policy, she was escorted out of the store by the manager for making too much noise. After deciding she wasn't going to take no for an answer, Alday grabbed a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson from her car and threatened the manager and several employees by yelling, quote, "I got something for y'all." Fortunately for everyone involved, no shots were fired and no one was injured during the incident.
5,
He put a curse on me. Amanda Lopez from Kissimmee, Florida, decided to stab her on-again, off-again 57-year-old boyfriend, Larry Fryer, 10 times in the chest. Her reason for this? Well, apparently she had been thinking about doing it for over a year, all because he allegedly, quote, put a curse on her and the only way to free herself from the curse was to kill Larry or kill herself. That excuse obviously didn't work with the police, as she's now serving a life sentence.
4,
I was eating beer-battered fish. Fish and chips is an amazingly delicious dish. It's even better after a night of drinking. Now, what could possibly be better? How about literally combining that alcohol with the battered fish? Well, that's not recommended if you plan on driving. Just ask John Prisbilla, who was pulled over when an officer noticed he was driving erratically. The reason he gave when he was told that his breath smelled like booze? He said he'd been eating beer-battered fish.
3,
The first church of methamphetamine. So it's kind of fair to say that Breaking Bad has quite the cult following. In fact, it's almost a religious experience how much people love it. However, just because you follow a show religiously doesn't mean you should copy it by becoming either a meth dealer or a meth user. Lori Beth White Potar found that out the hard way when she was pulled over for a busted taillight. When police asked her for identification, she said she was a Wiccan. Naturally, they were suspicious and decided to search her car. They found Crown Royal bags containing drug paraphernalia and methamphetamine residue. Potarf decided to inform the police that, quote, it wasn't against the law because of her religion. Yeah, we're sure that excuse also works when you're caught blowing up a building to take out a rival drug dealer.
2,
I had diarrhea. Where will you be when it hits you? Well, unfortunately for 92-year-old Persis Draper, she was on the road driving when that problem came knocking on her back door. And in her bid to stay clenched, she swerved and hit a pedestrian named Dory Stolmaker. Draper drove off in a hurry, leaving Stolmaker, quote, flipping around like a rag doll in the crosswalk. Because of this, she was charged with hit and run. Or maybe she should have been charged with hit and runs, as her reason for not stopping to help was reportedly a bad case of diarrhea. Was her excuse a good one? It depends.
1,
Joan of Arc made me do it. This story is just crazy. 40-year-old Martin Donahue stood outside a Starbucks in Madison, Wisconsin, and spent the day yelling at employees and harassing customers who were going in and out of the store. Then he threw a 3-pound concrete slab straight through the front window and tried to run away. Well, he was caught. Now, what was the reason for doing this, you might ask? Well, quote, Joan of Arc made me do it. He may have thought Joan of Arc was a Costa Coffee fan rather than a Starbucks lover.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.